I-12.
Welcome back to the Sports Wrap, joined now by Keith Croft, head coach of the Hendricken Hawks. Thanks for joining us on a Sunday. Five-time defending champs going for 6 Saturday against LaSalle. I want to go back to summer camp. At that point, do you know this is another championship team, or is there a lot of pressure to get back after being there so many years in a row?
I think a lot of people assume there's a lot of pressure,
right,
but we really try to take it one year at a time, and we really don't talk about the past too much. And, you know, during the summer, did we think we'd be in this position? We were hopeful that we'd be in position, but, you know, you never think you're going to finish the season undefeated. It's just such a long season between injuries and, you know, tough games, and Division I's just a battle every week.
So here you are against LaSalle. Now everyone's going to look back a couple weeks. You beat them by 30 points. I think a game a lot of people thought would be much closer. To your advantage or disadvantage, you won so handily because it shows you have a good team, but maybe you have to tell your guys not to take them lightly?
You know, I would tell you exactly what I'm telling our team. In reality, it means nothing. You know, the game that matters is Saturday, and they are more than capable of beating us. Everyone's talking about the 30-point. That doesn't mean anything. The ball bounced our way a lot that game, and if we don't play our best game Saturday, yeah, they're going to beat us just like they would to any other team.
You've beaten LaSalle a few times in the state championship, including last year. You had the big game this year. Can you speak to the rivalry between you and Jeff's team at LaSalle?
Oh, it's huge. I mean, there's a lot of mutual respect. You know, Coach Marcone has built a tremendous program over there. Our kids are friendly with a lot of their kids. It's the biggest rivalry in the state of Rhode Island, and you know, I know I'm impartial, but I think football is the biggest rivalry of any sport. And our fan bases get into it. You know, the crowd is always huge for the championship game, so it's just a great atmosphere.
Would 6 feel any different than 5, than 4, than 3? Are these getting old at this point, winning every year?
No, every championship is special. Every championship unique. It's just because the makeup of the team. Every team is different every year, and it's just as special to these kids as the first one was 5 years ago.
Now, I want to ask you something big picture when you think about Rhode Island high school football. You've won it 5 years in a row. You go back 10 years, teams like Barrington, LaSalle, St. Ray's all won championships. But this year, more than any in recent past, to me, it seemed like it was you, LaSalle, and everyone else. Has it gotten to the point maybe where the public schools can't compete with you in LaSalle?
You know, there's a lot of talk of that going on right now statewide, and I know this is a big realignment year coming up in football. You know, I kind of see it from 2 perspectives. I work in the public school system, and obviously I've been a coach at Hendricken for a long time, and I played there, so I see both sides. In some ways, I think the gap has gotten a little bit bigger between public and private, but I think there's a lot of public school programs right now that are doing a lot of good work, and I'd hate to see a lot of those traditional rivalries end. And you know, me and a lot of the private school coaches talk, and I don't think this was a hot topic 10, 15 years ago when the public schools were on a big run. I think it's cyclical. I think it goes in cycles, and I think there's a lot of good kids and a lot of coaches out there that, you know, like to play the private schools and like to keep that rivalry going, and we hope it does.
Is there even, back to Thanksgiving, you guys beat Tollgate, not as much at stake in that rivalry, but Bill Reynolds wrote a column in the Providence Journal saying that the EP-LaSalle rivalry maybe isn't where it was because it didn't have playoff implications. This has been 2 years now. Where do you see kind of the Thanksgiving format now where those games aren't league games? Yeah,
it's definitely changed. I think a lot of the public outcry this year with Thanksgiving games not meaning anything, I think it was really just more about the matchups this year. You had, if you look at the EP-LaSalle game, they had played a week prior in the playoffs, so I think that had a big impact on that game. Cranston West, Cranston East, you know, that's a huge game. You know, and if they're in the playoffs, does it change? It might. But I'd hate to see the Thanksgiving games go too. I think it's great for communities. I think for a lot of schools, it's you know, the biggest gate they're going to make all year, and that's a real big fundraising effort. I think the Thanksgiving games will be fine, and I'd like to see them continue.
All right, for coming in. Good luck on Saturday. Thanks for joining us all those Fridays throughout the year with Mark prior to the games, and we'll be watching on Saturday, Hendricken versus LaSalle.
Thank you.
Much more from the Sports Wrap coming up right after this.